Today on Two Decent Blokes.
On West Ham footballer Kurt Zouma has been caught on camera kicking and hitting his pet cat. Zouma has apologised, saying that although his two cats are perfectly fine, there are no excuses for his behaviour.
And I am sick of seeing these sports people, footballers at the moment in particular, who are earning more money than most people ever earn in their life, abusing their power and their privilege.
Does this sound like a happy person to you?
Man, she's mad. She's angry.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
West Ham footballer Kurt Zouma has been caught on camera kicking and hitting his pet cat. We won't show the video, it's far too distressing. That's the front page of The Sun there, which we have pixelated some of those pictures. The Met Police have said that they are not investigating the incident at this time. Zouma has apologised, saying that although his two cats are perfectly fine, there are no excuses for his behaviour. Is an apology enough, Colin? I know you were very upset, a big animal lover like all of us on the panel,
Absolutely
when you
not.
saw that this morning.
Absolutely not. Apologies not enough. And why aren't they investigating? It's absolutely disgusting, the whole thing. And I am sick of seeing these sports people, footballers at the moment in particular, who are earning more money than most people ever earn in their life, abusing their power and their privilege in all forms. And this today, honestly, I wanted to cry actually when I saw it, and I didn't see it till I got to work.
Does this sound like a happy person to you?
Man, she's mad. She's angry.
You walk around, it's a deep sense of envy that you can pick within her tone. These stars are getting away with what exactly? Where do you get the evidence that Premier League soccer stars are getting away with stuff? Who has gotten away with what?
Yeah, there's no evidence to support what she is saying, but I guess given what happened with Greenwood, she might be referencing that he was abusing his girlfriend for a while up until she reported him. So before that, he was technically getting away with it. And people are also saying that it might not be the first time that Zouma has been doing this to pets and to his cats specifically.
Then the question becomes, if you're saying that you're sick and tired of these footballers getting away with this, you're comparing them to the public. So, are the public getting away with this and getting caught a lot more than these celebrities? Because if you are comparing these things, you have to compare them to reality, which is what's happening.
Yeah.
How are these guys getting away with this in a way that the public is getting in trouble? Can you prove that for you to be this angry, the vitriol to which she speaks from?
Yeah, it's pure emotion. There's no doubt
Yes.
about that.
That's and I've heard it being said in so many different contexts. It's not just this issue where people look at footballers or people who are successful, they say they get away with this, and it's like, are you really sure that on average, if you were to say all the richest or the most successful people, the incidence of them getting away with these types of things versus the normal public, there'll be a very big difference to where you will be like, oh yeah, they're living a different life than we are. You would need evidence.
I'll ask you a question though.
Mhm.
What percentage of this outrage do you think can be attributed to just cultural differences on the supposed relationship that should exist between people and animals? Given that Zuma has strong African roots, his parents were African, he grew up in that culture where we as Africans, we know that our relationship with animals is very different to how British people might treat animals. How much do you think that cultural aspect is what made Zuma do that, and is also what is causing this level of outrage amongst British people?
Also, I think it's probably over 50% that we are talking over each other because we are downplaying or we don't see anything excessively wrong with what he has done, whilst they see everything wrong with what he's done. Um, it's tough. We're just not
Yeah.
the same. We don't look at the same thing from the same perspective.
So, well, the video is showing. I think this was one of the earliest news reports that came out. Later on, they took Zuma's cats, both of them, and they fined him. So, legally speaking, they fined him because animal cruelty, which they made it, well, it is a crime. They fined him about £250,000. Um, the club that Zuma plays for, West Ham United, the following day they played him. He was in the first 11. He played the whole game, but he was receiving a lot of hate from the fans. When the manager, David Moyes, was asked about it, why he included Zuma, which they were expecting him to be suspended or something like that because of this video. What do you think? Do you think West Ham United as a club, they should have suspended him and they
See,
should do something much more drastic considering the environment?
I still think all outrage is not made the same. To say, yes, cats and dogs are not people. We need to establish that. I don't care where you come from. Those things are not on the same spectrum. I don't care how much you love your cat. A cat is not a person. At least from that standpoint, you can see a guy that is obviously from the same culture who's a coach. He'd not even think about that. Now, I don't know what
But
caused him to do so. Maybe
yeah,
it
that's
could
what
be
I just wanted to say. Maybe he knows Zuma is he's his best defender. I got him recently from Chelsea for a lot of money, and he just wants to win the game because that's his job.
my question is the seriousity of the act, what Zuma did. To say if it was Zuma had killed someone or he was suspecting of having raped someone or beat someone, there would be no conversation over why did he even feature, why did he even play. I'm pretty sure that's why I'm trying to say, I think even from the same culture, a coach with a different desire or objectives or incentives will actually look at this and say it's a bad thing, but it's not as bad as maybe certain other things. So I
I
think,
see.
yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
But what about this aspect? Why are people not talking about the fact that it's his cats? So anyone who actually hates animals, who doesn't like animals, which if you are going to be cruel to something, there is a disdain inside you. The fact that he actually has two cats, doesn't that establish that he has no personal vendetta against animals in general? And this is just maybe something he should not do that he did?
Before I answer, or let me just answer that, but I want to go back because most of these things you kind of hear it in the way these ladies speak. But yes, you're perfectly right about that, that there's levels of these things, which is what I was trying to say, that animal cruelty or whatever mistreatment is there, but he does have the animals, he's taking care of them. The degree of dissent now, is it called for? That's probably what people are not going to agree on, I guess.
Yeah. But how much would you attribute? Just one last question before we continue. How much do you
Mhm.
attribute this level of anger
Mhm.
towards Zuma to the social environment and even political environment of 2022?
Oh yeah, everything is basically running on that because yes, the environment does love cats, and then the environment is pretty cancel culture prone, and
Mhm.
that can be a good that can be a good combination for him.
Yeah.
Because you could almost say because he's a minority, he's a black person, he was supposed to at least get away with this, but they're not having that.
Yeah, someone was saying that, well, we now know that cats matter more than black lives.
Yeah, I won't comment on that.
Obviously. And, you know, for me, he should be prosecuted. The cats should be taken away, both cats. He should have to, you know, people are saying, should he be sacked? I'm not sure I'd go that far, but he should be on the bench for a good 6 months with not paid. And all
mean,
the money
West-
he's lost
yeah,
should go to a cat charity or an animal charity.
West
take
Ham,
back.
West Ham United have said West Ham United unreservedly condemns the actions of our player Kurt Zouma. We've spoken to Kurt and will be dealing with the matter internally, but we would like to make it clear that we in no way condone cruelty towards
Well, they need
animals.
to prove that, Ben.
Yeah.
Not just you shouldn't do that. And you know, next time is in they need to prove to us that they have done something about it. Because if you can do that to a defenceless animal,
Do you
can
think
do
they
that to a
should
child.
sack him or fine him or both?
Wait, okay. Just to comment on the last thing that she said, if you can do that to a defenseless animal, you can do that to a child. Eden Hazard did that to an actual child and was suspended for 3 games. He just got a red card. She is saying Zuma should lose his livelihood, 6 months with no pay, nothing for this. What do you think about that?
Maybe I look at this from a business perspective, and that's probably my downfall, I guess. Or these people, do they really understand what goes on into a football team? There's a lot of money on the line here. It's not just a decision of saying, we don't like him, just take him off, sit him on the bench. It's just people talking about it like, and he has a massive contract like any football player. A lot of
He's
money
one
that
of the most paid at West Ham United too. Like he's second most paid, I think.
and they don't just pay you because they want to be nice. You are their second most valuable player. As much as everyone at West Ham does not like what he did, even his organization and himself, the practicability of just saying, yeah, just do away with that. I think there's so much just arrogance that comes from that. Like, I know better than all these people and what's best for this team. He should sit down because a cat was kicked. Does that really help the club? Does that help all stakeholders involved? Like, the best case scenario, if we're looking at it, is it not to just find the man and let him play for the team? And now we are punishing the team as if the team has done something. The team did not kick the cat with him. I mean,
yeah, but I guess there is a code of conduct that players with these massive contracts we should operate under, and we also have some sort of behavior that we expect of organizations in general, not just football clubs, right? But then it begs the question that if you are going to look at all kinds of treatment of either people or animals that looks bad, why are we starting and ending at Zouma?
that's
Because
my thing.
we know that even in the Premier League, there are teams that are owned by, for example, Manchester City is owned by Abu Dhabi, you know, and we know the kind of things that happen in Abu Dhabi as far as human rights are concerned. Why are they not canceling the entire team or stopping countries like Abu Dhabi from owning a Premier League club? So what's the difference there? What do you think about that?
No one can actually tell you the difference. This is what drives me so mad to a point where I'll try to pull my own hair out of my own head. That, like, this lady, she's not the arbiter of the truth or fairness or whatever. She has no right whatsoever to decide who gets to be punished for how long. She's not, and I understand the court of public opinion has its own thoughts. I think that's why we should separate the court of public opinion and the actual courts. And I know you and I have had this conversation of saying the court of public opinion is the one that ultimately rules also in most of these cases. But I'm saying this to say, when you find inconsistencies like this, which you find in the court of public opinion anyway, that's where certain people will look at it and say the standard is not even the same. Like you just asked. So why even bother?
The other thing is, according to French law, you can get up to 4 years imprisonment for animal cruelty. And what he did is considered animal cruelty. Now, you were talking about there are variations to it. A slap shouldn't be the same as cutting the cat's paws with a knife or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's for the lawyers to debate in court.
Exactly.
And so on and so forth.
Exactly.
But so anyway, the video that we are playing for you guys and we are reacting to is one of the earliest ones that happened. So after that, Adidas, which Adidas, they sponsor Zouma, they have a boot deal with him.
It's an endorsement.
Later on, they cancelled their contract with him because of this video. So I have a question for you. Do you think Adidas overreacted? And if you were Adidas, how would you have handled it?
Yeah, well, I think most of these are sports endorsement, deals, especially when they happen. Yes, of course, they have some right to say if you're bringing shame to, or you're bringing negative publicity to us,
Code of conduct.
then yeah. But I'm still ultimately not sure how Adidas is gonna lose money because Zuma has done what he has done necessarily. Like, who makes the connection? Like, I'm asking you on a normal person-to-person basis to say, when you hear Zuma has done something, you be like, oh my God, I'm not buying Adidas because they endorse him. Like, who thinks that way?
I will tell you this. So it's not necessarily about the dollar money. I don't think if they didn't cancel their contract, people were going to stop buying Adidas products because of that video.
Okay.
But it's about social credit. So what they are trying to do here is to say, okay, we are against this, almost like social justice kind of way. So they are saying that we are the first ones to come out and to say we are not going to reward this kind of behavior, even though keeping it was not going to cost us financially, but doing this overt act is going to earn us some social credit that we can use in the future, that we don't stand against this and we don't stand against that. Which begs the question, Adidas itself, it has a kit contract with Iran. The Iran national team is sponsored by Adidas. They give them kits and so on and so forth. And we know what happens in Iran. Why haven't they cancelled their contract with Iran?
It just comes back to the same thing I was just saying, that you can't. The problem with these things is there's a person behind that is obviously an SJW or a group of people in the executives or people that deal with these sorts of things that are calling the shots. And these people are not maybe in some way able to consistently actually put these laws down across the board, or they don't care enough for what happens in Iran versus what's happening in England. And then that's going to obviously look crazy and hypocritical and inconsistent. And you see it happen even on most of these technological platforms of most of these companies that go woke, that you can tell that the things that the people that are running the companies care much about, they're the ones that they try to punish everyone about, even though certain other people that are doing the same thing, but they just are not in any way people they care for, they will live like that. So, for example, to say, they could say we are all for women's rights here, and go after someone who seemingly sounds like they are a woman hater or misogynistic, but they will support regimes that are outright misogynistic and not say a single thing about them. So that's the crappy side of social justice for you. And I was gonna say something before you go to it, is to say, when you look at this woman, there's a certain authority to which she speaks from that I don't like about cancel culture. She speaks like she doesn't have kids. She speaks like she doesn't have family members who have done.
She speaks like she's never made a mistake.
She's
in her
never
entire
made a
life
mistake in
and
her
had to
life.
apologize for
She's squeaky clean. Because I can understand someone coming out this heated to say, we have a video of Zuma kicking a cat. We have public opinion literally just going bananas over what he did. And he is not saying anything, or he's saying, I did not do anything wrong because of where I come from. I can understand people being that angry. But if someone comes out and says, I am sorry, and they are made to pay fines, and then they do pay the fines, what nerve? Where do you get the audacity to say that's not enough? Like, are you that good yourself?
Not enough.
Like, look at yourself, Sunshine. I mean, you've never done anything wrong that anyone should be angry about, that you should be the one coming out at him like that.
The weird thing is, if she is the one made to pass judgment on what happens to Zuma because of this, those 6 months of suspension without pay and all those fines and taking his pets away, which they eventually did take the pets away and so on, right?
Mhm.
If she was going to pass that judgment herself and it be if enforceable, she will still not feel like he paid for it.
No,
There's nothing that you can do to satisfy their anger.
that's why I was saying, does she sound like a happy person to you? At the crux of most of these people that go on these crusades of trying to hold everyone accountable, you will see a deep-seated level of just unhappiness that you can tell, okay, so yeah, they cannot deal with certain things in their own life. They try to derive that from taking these public stands on certain issues they sometimes don't even really care for. I don't even know if she cares about pets that way or what, but
She must. And also in general, Europeans in general or British people, they really care about pets and animals and all that stuff. They really do, much so than Africans in general, right? Anyway, talking about suspension, Zuma's young brother, who was filming the video,
Mhm.
he got suspended by his club. I'm not sure for how long he's going to be suspended, but he got suspended because of this. So, what do you think about that suspension? And do you think that there's going to be enough pressure to force West Ham United to take further action
To fire.
besides just the fines?
I think once you start trying to appease the mob, you've already opened a can of worms. They should not have. This is why I always was saying they should have just ignored it. All the stakeholders involved, they should ignore these things the way they always did before.
But here's the thing: the stakeholder, the owners of West Ham, and the managers of West Ham, they are
Mhm.
mostly British, so they are
Mhm.
of this cultural persuasion. So they are also
Mhm.
as outraged as other people in general, including West Ham United fans. So it's not like they are just people who don't really care about this, and now they are going to be forced to make a decision that they don't like. They also don't like what happened, but they have an incentive to keep playing Zuma because he's
That's what I'm
really one of
saying.
their best players.
Yeah, so if you see them obviously taking a contrarian, like action to say they are not, they're acting, they're acting against their own best interest, to say they're firing or they're reprimanding their own player, then you would almost be correct to say they're doing it because of the pressure that's coming from outside, which is why I was saying that I think they should not listen to these people because there's no appeasing them anyway. So for me, the biggest issue, which I've already pointed out, it really comes down to hypocrisy. It comes out to a high sense of moral superiority that is unwarranted and unearned that I hear most people speak about this issue. And he has apologized, number one. I don't know where people get the, whatever, the authority to say
And then
someone's apology is not necessarily enough. And what would be enough? Let's really hear it. Which,
I think what would be enough for them is for him never to play football again and to just disappear from the face of the earth.
yeah, which is sad that you care so much about what other people are doing with their lives and their pets that much that it has to come to a point that everyone within their lives has to now suffer because of that. Like, really think about this. What it means is he has kids, he has a wife, and he has family and extended family and this and that, that their whole lives have to change because a cat was kicked. How much importance do you put on that cat? Seriously.
By the way, but just to say this, I know people who really love their cats. Like they love their cats more than other people, most people in general. So it's not a stretch to see this kind of outrage about a cat. I also love cats, obviously not as much as I love people in general. I would
Mhm.
have a cat, and I'm going to have even more cats. So it's not like we hate cats, but it's just interesting to see uh, this kind of reaction for something like this in this environment. By
It's
the
an
way,
outrage.
yeah, it seems these days that everything is getting an overreaction. Everything is getting an overreaction.
Because I bet if people cared about certain things like actually saving and making money like that in their whole lives, oh my God, we'd have a whole bunch of people who are successful out here. Like, you, let me not go there. But my thing is, it's an overreach, it's an overreaction, which some people have started actually also comparing with certain other issues like racism. I've heard people saying you can't just be putting and thrusting racism into this. And it's like there's certain things that have happened in the Premier League in front of everyone's eyes that people have kind of looked the other way from.
Yeah, like
And
for
so,
example, there is a time in the Premier League when Luis Suarez, who is now playing for Atletico Madrid, when he was playing for Liverpool, he
Mhm, mhm,
verbally abused and racially abused Patrice Evra, and it was
mhm.
live on TV. Everyone knew about it, and it didn't happen once, and he got nothing. Nothing happened to him at all. Is it just maybe a function of the time? Do you think that if, let's say, Diogo Jota, now he does the same thing to Eric Bailly, he will get the same pass as Luis Suarez did?
And even if it did happen, I think the most that would happen is a fine. Well, we don't have an actual history of this happening in recent history, except maybe for the Luis Suarez one, which was a couple of years back. But it's to say that I've not heard of a footballer be told that they are actually fired and will never kick a ball over any issue except the rape allegations of Mendy, which I understand.
Oh,
This sounds very
the,
serious, man.
the race thing happens in football all the time. Like I remember last year when England went to play against Bulgaria. I think,
Mhm,
was it
mhm,
Bulgaria or Serbia?
mhm.
I don't know, one of these Eastern European countries, and they were being racially abused, the black English players there, and nothing was done, like zero, nothing was done. And this is last year, so in the same environment, you see the fans. It was mostly the fans, and I think some of the players that were playing for Bulgaria or Serbia. I have to
Mhm,
verify
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Nothing happened to them.
So I
So
stand corrected. That's what is making certain cynics look at this and be like, ah, this is an overreach. Because the thing is, as a society, we already have gauges over what we think. If someone does something, you already kind of think you know what the retaliation of the law is going to kind of be. Yes, a kid was kicked, but it's like of all the things in the balance, when you look at all the offenses that have been done within the soccer or the football environment, really this is what you're going to draw the line with, like an actual sponsor of the whole team is about to pull out. Really, when
yeah,
was the last time you've seen that happen, like
yeah.
a sponsor saying I'm moving out, I'm pulling out?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's just for our listeners. The sponsor that he's talking about is Vitality. They sponsor West Ham, and they were saying they are considering their relationship with West Ham, and they were disappointed with how they West Ham handled the situation, namely playing Zuma after this incident.
That's the thing, like, because most of these deals, I know Barcelona are trying to get a deal down with Spotify and, look good in that Spotify jersey. But it's like these deals are made over like a couple of years, 3, 4,
Well,
5 years. They're big.
Spotify is
Hmm?
Spotify is also about to get cancelled.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But yeah, like these are multi-million dollar deals that are done over 4, 5 years that, yes, I understand maybe certain, whatever conditions could be breached out of there, but like it's a rare sight to see that happening. It's like, why on this particular issue? Is it really because you really care about this particular cat or animal cruelty? Like it sounds a little crazy. And this is what has made some people to actually go to the side of saying kind of sounds more like you're doing this because it's black. Because then,
Really? Do you
oh
think
yeah.
so?
Well, I don't think so, but I've heard a lot of people make the connection to say, why else would you come down on a player this much over an issue like this? And most,
I, I
you
I
know,
think it's just because British people love cats. Do you think
yeah,
that if Zuma was not black, the reaction would be less?
I have no idea. I rarely make those sorts of accusations because I don't think I know enough to say that. But I'm saying that I can see how certain people who are prone to looking at issues as a black and white issue could be like, yeah, it could be that.
I
Because
see.
it just doesn't make any sense how the whole world is crumbling because of that video.
All right, I think we can close this one. To our audience, tell us what you think. Do you think British people in general, or in Europe, people in Europe are overreacting about this Zuma issue? And what do you think? Do you think the punishment that he has received so far, the fines, his pets being taken away, is enough? Should he be punished some more? What do you think? Do you think this is a non-issue that should just be forgotten about? Tell us what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe to Decent Blokes. We out.